Or bring it down from the quickly.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think there is. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol nהיה b'dvaro.
Amen.
Amen.
Chaim v'bracha.
Amen. L'chaim.
All right. Welcome, folks. We continue with our mimer. So what did we say? Not only is the 15th of the month above, Tubav, the revelation of something that happened earlier already on Tisha B'Av, right after the destruction, Mashiach is born. We already are comforted Tisha B'Av afternoon with Nachem, with the prayer, a special prayer once a year that we say of Nachem, which means to comfort. Even after Tisha B'Av, we say Kiddush Lavana, we sanctify the new moon, which in it we say that we're going to be renewed, the final redemption. But the true completion of that, and therefore the true celebration, is on the 15th, when we have a full moon. But it even goes further. The whole condition of destruction was only in order to have rebuilding. So God doesn't destroy unless it's conditional that he's going to rebuild. Meaning, in the destruction itself is the rebuilding itself. It's conditional. It's conditional. So it's not only that the birth of Mashiach comes after the destruction. The whole destruction is conditional in order that that should all happen. Right? Which is, think about it on a personal level, what an amazing thought that is. That all of whatever goes on in our lives, destruction, sometimes it's destruction. It's all conditional. It's all conditional in order to rebuild. Now, to bring this idea further, Yesh Leimer says, Rebbe, the reason for the command, Va'asuli mikdash. Right. What are we rebuilding? Why are we rebuilding? Because we're commanded to build. Asuli mikdash. Make for me a mikdash, a sanctuary, a home. Right. And this is a command for all generations, to make a home for Hashem. Which means this command in the Torah is not just a command that, for the 40 years in the desert. Actually, it's interesting. It says, make for me a mikdash. It doesn't say a mishkan. If it said a mishkan, that was the term that was used for the temporary dwelling in the 40 years in the desert. Temporary dwelling of God, the Shekhinah, the divine presence of God in the Mishkan. But it says mikdash, meaning originally was built a Mishkan. And then first mikdash, holy temple, second holy temple, but it all includes the third Beis HaMikdash, the third holy temple, in the command itself. Furthermore, l'chaim. David's coffee. Come and get it. So the building itself is a command for all generations. So it means, in other words, you can't say you fulfilled the command with making the Mishkan, the tabernacle, for the 40 years in the desert. Oh, no, okay, let's say we fulfilled it when we came and we built Shiloh 369 years. The Holy Temple in Jerusalem, we fulfilled. No. A constant command, which means in that command is included even the third and final Holy Temple, right? So similarly, it's known that the idea of Geula, redemption, going out of Egypt, huh? Geula, right? Galus, actually, it doesn't say it over here. The word Galus and Geula are spelt the same except for one distinction, letter Aleph. So exile is Galus, Geula is redemption, are the exact same letters, except for an addition, a letter Aleph. Meaning, in Geula, what do you have? What do you have in Galus? You have the makings of Geula. You have the makings of it. The only difference is one letter, Aleph, which represents Aluf Shalayim, the ultimate commander in chief, the one. Aleph is the numeric value one of Hashem. That Hashem is revealed, right? Then he's revealed. It's Hashem here now, obviously, right? Otherwise, it's not David's coffee that keeps us alive, keeps us maybe awake, maybe more alert, right? So, wow. So in Geula most of the letters are the same as Golas. In other words, in redemption, you have the exile. Because in the exile, you have the redemption, but it's hidden. You just have to reveal the oneness of God in the world, right? So it's there. It's in the very words itself. So in the first redemption, what was the first redemption? Egypt, right? Going out of Egypt. It opened the pathway that includes all of the other redemptions, including the final redemption of Mashiach, right? Except the revelation of the third base of English and the final and third final redemption, right, is up to us. We got to make it happen, right? We have to make it happen. We have to do tshuva. We need the vaida, constant return. Even tshuva, what's tshuva? What is tshuva?
To return.
Return to your true self. In other words, the real you, when you did something wrong, you hid. Return means you're just revealing the real you. That's what tshuva is, right? So in the command of making a sanctuary for God is the ultimate and permanent sanctuary. the third base of English. In exile is hidden redemption. It's there. We got to work at it. We got to bring it out. We've got to reveal it. Got to reveal the Aleph of Hashem. That's but even the first redemption that we went out of Egypt, it was the pathway to the final redemption. The difference is it was just hidden then. And that's our job, is we got to reveal it. Fascinating. See the parallels here and everything. Yeah. So this we can also explain then in the courtyard of the Mishkan. There was, if you recall, 15 amas, which represented the number 15, which is God's name, Yud and He, Yud K, right? Numeric valued 15. It was 15 amas, 15 handbreadths, or arm lengths, rather. Right? Was the entranceway to the Mishkan. And we connected that with our idea of that in the final redemption, God's name, right? The Vav and a Hey, right? Vav K becomes Yud K. Yud K is more idea of permanence, right? The number 15, and then the 15, more of an idea of permanence. So the latter part of God's name will also become more permanent, whereas, as we explained, I'm not going to go into now why that's not permanent. We explained it several times previously. In any case, this is all reflected in the Mishkan, the home of God, right? That was in the desert, that had the size of the length of the entranceway, 15 handbreadth, arm's lengths of an opening, of a screen, actually. Right? It was a screen. So, so even though that was by the Mishkan, we don't really see a similar idea in the temple that was built with that screen. It didn't have a screen, right? Temple Mount it's very different. This is a holy temple. So this idea of the 15, the Rebbe says it's still connected. Doesn't explain how, except for the fact that the Mishkan, right, which was the sanctuary for Hashem in the desert, is included in it, the Beis Hamikdash, both holy temples, even though they were built differently, but it's included in the command, as we said, right? So it's there. Also the third holy temple. Right? Again, in what manner, I'm not clear what that means, but it's there. It's, in some manner, it's there. Yet, when's our day of celebration. What is the ultimate celebration? Is we saying the 15th of Av, right? Chamisha Asar B'Av. Why? Again, so why does that become? In other words, there's something great about the 15th of Av than even the Mishkan that was built that includes in it all of the other sanctuaries, including the final sanctuary. There's something greater about this celebration, right? Why? Because before, okay. Why? Because before the sin of the spies, right? Which of course is what leads to the 15th of Av, right? Because that's when those who had to die in the desert stopped dying, right? Or was revealed, right? So from before the sin of the spies, there was no place for destruction of the Holy Temple. And therefore, there would not be a third temple. Why? Moses would have taken the Jews right into Israel. No Joshua as leader, right? Moses, take them right away. That was the plan before the sin of the spies. God wanted to take them right away in, right? So in other words, before the sin, there was no place for a third holy temple. They were going straight into Israel. Final redemption. That's it. Right? In other words, before the sin of the spies, this whole idea that we're talking about, there's a first temple, a second temple that get destroyed. There's a final third temple that's completely concealed and hidden, right? It's not on the table at all, right? It's not in Seder Hishtal Shalus. It's not even in the creative order of things at that point, right? Nowhere in creation can you say that, right? After the sin, though, when there is now a decree from God that the entire generation that had been engaged in the sin of, not trusting in God that He can take them into the land and conquer the inhabitants and that they would inherit the land, they're not going in, right? So then that's when begins the possibility of destruction of the temple itself, because there's downfall of the people. That means there can be a downfall of what the people do, creating a home for God, right? Then it's the beginning that the third holy temple can be at least a thought, because now there's a potential of destruction. In fact, there is the downfall of the people, which means, in fact, there is the ultimate downfall of the Holy Temple, which means that there's then at least a thought, because we know that it's only conditional, the downfall, right? Right. There. So as a result, the 15th of Av now, and every year, especially after the destruction of the Holy Temple, right? Before the destruction of the Holy Temple, so that might not have been as realized, its great emergence and value. and great celebration, that it is to bring the light of God into the world, as we said, that the final Vav should be like the Yud K, and that will bring about the final and third holy temple that will not have any, that will be eternal, and that will bring to light that all of the crying that was on Tisha B'Av for the destruction that happened on Tisha B'Av, which initially was crying because the decree against the Jewish people that they would die in the desert, right? And as God said, that will be a time to cry forever, right? It'll be for generations you'll cry, Tisha B'Av. That's what it says in the Torah, right? But it will then come to a crying that's positive in the time to come, in Mashiach, meaning we'll cry out of joy because there'll be then revealed this great, awesome level of godliness. Just as Rabbi Akiva, when he was revealed to him great levels of understanding in the Song of Songs of King Solomon, he cried, but they were crying tears of joy. So we're going to transfer it to tears of joy. So now we can also have the tears of joy in recognition that we are transforming. That's what the tuba of. Okay, we're gonna have to go through this part again to get it a little more. But that was pretty heavy duty. Okay, see you shortly. I'm gonna try. It's a bit longer Chumash Rashi, so I'm gonna try to get here, even though we have Torah reading. Trying to get here as soon